What's up, nerds? My name is Brad, and I am the nerd, here to bring you new videos of all the old comics you nerdy little boys and girls love. We're going to start with Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four, written by the one and only Stan Lee and penciled by the legendary Jack Kirby. Of course, the Fantastic Four consist of Dr. Reed Richards as Mr. Fantastic, Ben Grimm as the Thing, Sue Storm as the Invisible Woman, and Johnny Storm as the Human Torch. Our story starts with a crowd reacting in shock to a flare that signals the Fantastic Four. The police officers are confused and talk about rumors of an alien invasion, all while a mysterious man in the shadows stands at the window holding the smoking gun. Sue Storm is having tea with a friend, but as soon as she sees the flare, she turns invisible and heads out the door. With no time to waste, she pushes through the crowd, leaving them to wonder what's going on and speculate about there being a ghost. She hops in an empty cab, and the unsuspecting driver continues to cruise around the city until the invisible woman says that she will get out here, and money appears before the driver's face. Sue tells the driver to take the money as he sits there stunned, only for him to assume that he's going crazy and drive off in a panic. Next, the salesman at a clothing store tells a large man in a trench coat that they don't have anything in his size. The large man complains that everything in this world is too small for him, and the salesman points to the flare he can see through the window. The large man takes off his coat and leaves the store, and the salesman is in shock at the sight of the rocky beast before him. The thing breaks through the door that's too small for him. Bystanders scream monster, and nearby police officers draw their guns. They shoot at the thing and miss. The thing says they won't get another chance and rips a manhole cover out of the ground and jumps into the sewer. He goes as far as he wants to, but since there isn't an opening above him, he busts a hole through the pavement, popping up right in front of the car. The car slams into the thing, but he's unfazed. People call him a monster and run away in fear. He calls them fools and cowards. After a few minutes, the police respond, but the thing is already gone. The police chief says something weird is going on with the words in the sky and reports of monsters on the streets. We move on to two men working on a car. Johnny says only one thing in this world is more exciting than cars. His friend asks what that is. But they're interrupted by a flare showing a giant four, and Johnny is engulfed in flames, leaving his friend in shock. Johnny burns through the roof of the car and says this is what's more exciting. People wonder whether it's a comet or a man as the human torch flies through the city. At the mayor's office, they call for the National Guard. Washington gives an order to attack the flaming object. The pilots think that their commanding officers are losing their mind until they see something: the human torch. They move to attack, and the human torch warns them to stay back, but they get too close and their planes go down in flames. The torch is relieved that they parachuted out safely, but his attention quickly shifts to a missile with a nuclear warhead that's locked onto his heat signal. Johnny's flame begins to go out, but right before he is hit by the missile, two arms grab it out of the air and throw it in the ocean far from shore, but the flameless Johnny is still falling through the sky. Mr. Fantastic stretches his body across two buildings, and Johnny is able to grab onto him. He swings them both in through a window and begins to explain why he summoned everyone together. Before we hear why he shot the flare, we're given a flashback to before they had powers. An unchanged Ben Grimm is yelling at Reed Richards that he won't pilot his ship due to the dangers and the lack of research. Susan says they have to take this chance and calls Ben a coward. Ben slams his fist down so hard he breaks the table and says he'll fly the ship no matter what. As they drive to their destination, Reed gives Sue and Johnny a chance to change their minds. Susan says that she's Reed's fiance and will go wherever he does, and Johnny says he's not leaving his sister. Then they sneak past the guard to a rocket. The rocket blasts off, and Reed says his design is working perfectly. Ben remains wary of the cosmic rays. They reach the outer atmosphere but enter a cosmic storm. The rays begin to penetrate the ship. They immediately begin to feel the effects. Reed says that Ben was right. Johnny says his body feels like it's on fire, and Ben asks for someone to take over the controls because he's too heavy to move. The autopilot takes over and they crash land. Reed says he's grateful they're alive, but Sue says that they failed, and Johnny says, "What did you expect?" Reed says they aren't safe until they know the effects of the cosmic rays. Sue says that she feels strange right before she starts to fade away. Reed explains that the cosmic rays altered her atomic structure. Johnny worries she'll never be visible again, but Sue suddenly reverts back to her regular self. Reed hugs Sue, thankful that she's okay. Ben confronts Reed and the two prepare to fight. But before they can, Ben starts to change. Sue tells Reed to run and calls Ben a thing. Ben asks how she can care for a weakling like Reed as he breaks a tree in half. He swings at Reed, but Reed stretches away and wraps Ben in his elastic arms and wonders what's happened to them. Johnny begins to panic and starts to turn into flame, but his panic turns into excitement when he realizes he can fly. After Johnny lands, they stand silently watching the flames burn out. When they finally speak, Reed and Ben agree that they need to use their powers for good. They come up with their names as they stick their hands in: the Human Torch, the Invisible Girl, the Thing, and Mr. Fantastic. Together, they are the Fantastic Four. Now we get back to the main story where the Fantastic Four meet the Mole Man. Mr. Fantastic shows them pictures of destroyed atomic power plants all across the world. He notices a pattern in his radar machine and realizes another cave in will happen soon. And as he speaks, soldiers in Africa notice the ground moving. One says it's impossible, but another says that doesn't matter because it's happening again. And the entire facility is sucked into the ground. Less than 30 seconds later, a monster begins to crawl out. Tanks shoot at the creature, but it's useless. The monster crushes a tank and seems unstoppable until it's told to by its master, the Mole Man. Meanwhile, the Fantastic Four watch the machine show the latest collapse. Mr. Fantastic says he's found a center point on an island called Monster Isle. Just a few hours later, their jet approaches the island. They start climbing the mountain but pause when they hear something below them, and suddenly a three-headed creature springs over the peak. Sue turns invisible, stunning the creature, and Mr. Fantastic turns his arm into a lasso. He snags one of its heads and throws it into the ocean. Suddenly, the ledge collapses beneath Mr. Fantastic and the Human Torch. Mr. Fantastic turns his body into a parachute, and Johnny holds on. They float to the bottom of a pitch dark pit. Johnny finds a trap door and light floods through. An unknown amount of time passes, and the two wake up in strange suits, and a mysterious voice speaks out to them. The Mole Man says he's prevented them from seeing because otherwise they'd be blinded by the Valley of Diamonds. Back on top of the mountain, the Invisible Woman says they need to find Reed and Johnny, unaware of a rock monster approaching behind her. The Thing sees this, though, and says he'll handle him. The monster doesn't stand a chance as the Thing clobbers it. He tosses it in the ocean, and they run off in search of the others. Back with Reed and Johnny, the Mole Man wonders why they haven't heard of him and says the world will soon know his name and be in his power. The Mole Man explains how he was rejected by women and employers before he decided to leave society and find the center of the earth. He eventually found a cavern that led to the center of the earth, and he let out a cry of excitement, but it caused an avalanche. He survived, but was blinded and stranded. The Mole Man says he learned to master the creatures at the center of the earth and brags of his heightened senses before challenging Reed to a duel. He can sense in the dark like a mole. He knows when danger is coming, and he easily dodges and strikes down Mr. Fantastic. The Mole Man starts telling his plan of tunneling under every major city, destroying their sources of power, and finally everything that lives above the surface. But then the Thing and Invisible Woman arrive. The Mole Man rings a bell, and the most deadly of all the monsters emerges to attack the Fantastic Four. The Human Torch turns to flame and flies up. He circles the monster's head, distracting it. Mr. Fantastic stops the Mole Man from escaping. As they try to leave with him, the Mole Man grabs onto the signal cord again, and a horde of monsters rushes in to help. The Human Torch flies in front of the monsters, burning the earth and causing a rock slide. The Fantastic Four escape, but without the Mole Man. Seconds after they fly off, the Mole Man destroys the entire island, sealing himself below. Mr. Fantastic says it's for the best, and our story ends with the Invisible Woman saying she hopes they've seen the last of him. Thanks for watching my very first video. Let me know what you think with that like button, and subscribe to my channel if you want to stay up to date with all the old comics. Stay nerdy.